Let's just complete the proof for this one. We had started this last question. We have a right triangle ABC, right angle being at C. The midpoint of the hypotenuse is M. Through that midpoint, there is a line has been drawn parallel to the side BC. The line passing through the midpoint intersects the side AC at D. So there are three results that you want to prove here. I'm just going to write these here. You can note it down from your question. D is the midpoint of AC, MD is perpendicular to AC, and then CM equals to MA equals to half of AB. So the first part is directly concluded from converse of midpoint theorem. If you want, you can write down properly that in triangle ABC, we have midpoint of one side. Then through that midpoint, there is a line which is parallel to the second side. So MD is parallel to BC. We start from the midpoint of one side. The line segment through that point is parallel to the second side. And what we conclude is that that line segment's other end is the midpoint of the third side. This proves your first part. After this, you want to prove that MD is perpendicular to AC. This can be done in two ways. Either you can take the co-interior angles. Co-interior angles would be 1 and 2. The sum will be 180. They will be supplementary because we have a pair of parallel lines. Or you can take the pair of corresponding angles. So in that case, the corresponding angles will be angle 1 and angle 2. That's what I am using here. Angle 1 will be equal to angle 2. Those are corresponding angles. Which makes your angle 1 equals to 90 degree. And hence, the line segment MD becomes perpendicular to side AC. This is the second part. And then finally, for the third part, you have to prove CM equals to MA. The last part, as I already told you, MA is half of AB because M is the midpoint. So that's not to be proved. It's obvious because M is the midpoint. So you can directly write down that AM and MB, the two parts of AB, are actually halves of AB. We have to prove CM on CM equals to MA, and that's what we will focus on. And right now in the figure, I cannot see CM. I cannot see CM, the line segment. So I'm going to join these two. Point C with point M, CM. I would be proving the two triangles congruent here, triangle CMD and triangle AMD. And then I will conclude that CM equals to AM. I'm going to draw the two triangles right here, so that it's easier to see what I want to do. So through M, there is a line segment MD, which is now perpendicular. I have just proved, so I am marking it here. Along with that, I have already proved that D is the midpoint right here. So these two parts will also be equal. I think by now you can see which rule will be applicable to prove the congruence. So that's all with your answer. Maybe you have already done. हो सकता है आप में से कुछ students ने already कर लिया हो. I hope.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Taranpreet.
Ma'am, in every triangle, when we join the midpoint to the opposite vertex, it will be equal to the half of side opposite to it, or in only right angle triangle.
Only right angle triangle. The midpoint of the hypotenuse, it's equidistant from the three vertices. In a right triangle, if you have the midpoint of the hypotenuse and you measure the distance of that point from the three vertices of the triangle, the three distances will be equal. So right now, if I just draw this triangle with you here, M is the midpoint of the hypotenuse AB. The distance of M from A, from B, and from C, these are all equal. MA, MB, and MC. It happens in right triangle. So I'm just going to go over the examples of this chapter today with you, whatever we can do during this period. From tomorrow onwards, I will be taking up the chapters which are in your periodic assessment too, so that you have the time to go over the chapter once. And in case there is any part which you have a doubt in or the assignment, if there is any query, you can just let me know, right? If you have written, let me know. We will start with the examples. Anyone who's writing down? Okay. Example 1 is on page number 141. Yeah, okay, beta, yes, you can keep those questions or your queries noted down. So tomorrow when we have class, we will discuss those, or you can just send me a message. I think there are common doubts if I look at the assignment of chapter number 2. So there will be a few questions which I think all of you would like to be discussed in the class. So I will go over those common queries, and after that I can take up your individual doubts. All right. So just send a message to me, or you can either share in the group, so that if anyone else has the same doubt, they can also let me know. All right. So that I will know how many students have a problem with one particular question. Example number 1 here, show that each angle of a rectangle is a right angle. This is something we have been saying till now as such. हम ऐसे ही बोलते हैं rectangle का हर angle 90 degree होता है. अब आपको यहाँ पे prove करना है. So what we will have is, by definition of a rectangle, that there is a parallelogram. By definition, what we will have given to us will be a rectangle. That means हमारे पास एक ऐसा parallelogram होगा with any one angle equals to 90 degree. I think I discussed this when I was going over the types of quadrilateral with you. कि हम जब rectangle की definition लिखते हैं तो हम ये बोलते हैं that rectangle is a parallelogram in which any one angle is equal to 90 degree, and then the remaining three become 90 degree if we apply the properties of a parallelogram. So start with a parallelogram ABCD. Let us say we have a parallelogram ABCD and mark any one angle as 90. So let us say we have parallelogram ABCD, and in this parallelogram we have angle A as 90 degree. This is what's given to us. And we would like to prove that the remaining three angles are also 90 degrees in measure. Since it's a parallelogram, you can apply all the properties of parallelogram that you have. First of all, we will use the property that the opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. So angle A and C will be equal. Angle C will be equal to angle A, which will make angle C equals to 90 degrees.
And adjacent angles are supplementary.
Yes, you could use the property that adjacent angles are supplementary. Angle A plus angle B will be 180. From here, angle B comes out to be 90, and the angle opposite to B, that is D, will be also 90 degrees. You can either do this for angle B and D, or you can use the same property that B and D will be equal. You can mark each of them as X. These are opposite angles of a parallelogram, so they will be equal. Mark them X, and then you can use angle sum property. That's also an option, whichever seems convenient to you. So this is actually a very simple question. You only have to understand what they're asking you to do. So when they say that you have a rectangle, you only have a parallelogram with one of its 4 angles equal to 90 degree. And then we can eventually prove that the remaining 3 are also 90 degree, which we have been writing down till now directly without going over the definition. हम सीधा ये बोलते थे. So rectangle is a quadrilateral in which each angle is 90 degree. Simply. I hope it's clear. Anyone with questions here?
No, ma'am.
All right. Show that the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular to each other. This is something you can do by proving the congruence of 2 triangles, which are right opposite to each other. I think I discussed this when I was discussing the properties, how to prove the diagonals perpendicular to each other. Rhombus will be a parallelogram in which all 4 sides are equal, and rhombus will be a parallelogram in which all 4 sides are equal. That's something you can use here in order to prove the congruence. There are actually various ways to prove the triangles congruent here. We will be taking adjacent triangles here in order to prove the perpendicular property. So you have to prove angle 1 equals to 90 degree here. I think I was mistaken. I said opposite triangles. You have to take the ones which are adjacent to each other. So you can take these 2 triangles. I will just mark here the ones they have taken, triangle AOD and triangle COD. Prove them congruent. This one's simple because it's a rhombus. All 4 sides are equal. AD will be equal to CD. You have a common side OD. And since it's a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other. Therefore, AO will be equal to CO. So these 2 triangles are congruent by SSS rule. And once these triangles are congruent, you can write down that angle 1 will be equal to angle 2 by CPCT. But these 2 are actually forming a linear pair. So their sum will be 180. So 2 angles which are equal and their sum is 180 implies that each of those angles will be 90 degrees in measure. And they have actually done this by calculation. You can conclude it directly. अगर आपके पास 2 angles हैं जो equal हैं और उनका sum 180 है, each of them must be 90 degrees. So that's what you get. And if angle 1 is 90 degrees, that means the diagonals are perpendicular to each other at point O. That's what we wanted to prove. Anyone with questions here?
No,
Now,
ma'am.
this is something that you need to be very open with. If you have any doubt at any point, if you don't want to ask me directly in class, you can just leave a message in the chat box. Because the reason I go over a proof again and again is because I just want to make sure that you are understanding. So just give a word here, yes or no. Yes, ma'am, it's clear. So that it's an affirmation, you know, I can move forward. Anyone with any questions? Okay. Example
No,
number
ma'am.
3 again. This is an important example, not based on the properties directly, but it's a question. This could come without the figure as well. So draw the figure carefully. Right now, the figure is there in your example. So we have an isosceles triangle in which AB is equal to AC. Let's just quickly draw a triangle here. We have AB equals to AC. Let's mark. AD bisects exterior angle PAC. I think the question is continued on the next page. So AD bisects the exterior angle PAC. Observe the exterior angle is at A and the bisector is also through A. So you need to extend the side at A and then draw the exterior angle. The exterior angle has the side AC. So AC should be one of the arms. In case the figure is not given, you have to interpret. So you will extend side AB. BA is to be extended. You can mark it, mark a point P outside. So this is the exterior angle as given in the statement. And once you have that exterior angle, this exterior angle has been bisected by the line segment AD. Let's draw that line segment. So these parts are equal. CD is parallel to AB. This is given further. So if you join C and D, the line segment is parallel to side AB. So you can draw it accordingly. I'm going to readjust. Bisection means division into two equal parts. तो यहाँ पे उन्होंने बोला है कि exterior angle bisect हो रहा है. So there is a line segment. Let us simply say there is an angle ABC. आपके पास कोई angle है ABC. इसकी bisection हो रही है means whatever is the measure of this angle. इसका जितना भी measure है उसको दो equal parts में आपको divide करना है. So there will be a line or a line segment or a ray which will pass through the vertex. Vertex में से pass होने वाला कोई एक line segment या फिर ray है which divides this angle into two parts. So एक एंगल बनता है इस तरफ और एक एंगल बनता है इस तरफ. The measures of these two are equal. This is what bisection is. And जिसकी वजह से equal हुए थे parts ये, उसको हम बोलते हैं angle bisector.
Okay, ma'am.
So right now the exterior angle PAC has been bisected into two equal parts. I would just like to show that again. This was the exterior angle. ये पूरा एक्सटीरियर एंगल है आपका. इसके दो पार्ट्स आपको अब नजर आ रहे होंगे, 1 and 2. These two parts are equal. Does that make sense? Now what you want to prove is that angle DAC equals to angle BCA. You can work with the names, you can work with the angles marked by numbers, whichever is convenient to you. I'm going to mark numbers so that it's just easier for me to write proof. I want to prove that angle DAC is equal to angle BCA. So angle BCA is this one. Let's mark this as 3. And angle DAC is angle number 2. So in the first part of your question, you want to prove that angle 2 is equal to angle 3.
Alternate interior angles.
Yes, Daksh?
Alternate interior angles.
But
Alternate
these two
interior
lines
angles.
are not parallel. The sides which contain angle 2 and angle 3, AD and BC. ये sides sorry मैंने गलत draw कर दिया. ये बनती हैं. AD and BC are the sides which contain these two angles, 2 and 3. These are not parallel. These are not the ones which are parallel. So you cannot use the property of alternate interior angles. वो applicable नहीं होगी. No, it will not be done with congruence. There are
We will
actually two
compare
properties we will be using. First of
exterior
all, we are
angle.
going to apply the result concluded from two sides being equal. एक ट्राइंगल में जब दो sides equal होती हैं तो क्या होता है? एक हम वो conclusion लिखेंगे,
Opposite two angles are equal.
opposite angles are equal. So अगर आपके पास ट्राइंगल ABC में AB और AC equal हैं, you can conclude that angle 3 is equal to angle 4. Let's say each of them is y. इस एंगल का मेजर भी y लिख देते हैं और इसको भी y लिख देते हैं, जस्ट फॉर कन्वीनियंस कि ये दोनों बराबर हैं, एंड लेट्स रिप्रेजेंट देम विद द सेम वेरिएबल. सिमिलरली हमारे पास क्योंकि ये बाइसेक्शन हो रही थी यहाँ पे, हम इन दोनों को भी सेम मेजर असाइन कर सकते हैं. एंगल 1 इज इक्वल टू एंगल 2 और उसको हम x असाइन कर रहे हैं. नाउ दिस इज ओनली समथिंग व्हिच आई प्रेफर, मींस इट सीम्स convenient to me personally कि जब मेरे पास दो एंगल्स इक्वल बन रहे हैं कहीं पे भी, I like to assign them the same variable so that मुझे दिखता हो कि ये दोनों बराबर हैं. Numbers से maybe I get confused, but once I have marked this, I know that these two are equal. So this is what I have based on what's given to me. मेरे पास आइसोसेलेस ट्राइंगल था, दो साइड्स इक्वल थी, तो ऑपोजिट एंगल्स इक्वल हो गए, 3 और 4 इक्वल हो गए, मैंने उनको y से रिप्रेजेंट कर दिया. दूसरी चीज जो मुझे दी थी वो था कि एक्सटीरियर एंगल बाइसेक्ट हो रहा है, तो मैंने वहां पे जो दो एंगल्स बने थे 1 और 2 उनको डिफरेंट वेरिएबल से रिप्रेजेंट कर दिया. नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू connect that exterior angle with the interior angles, so I'm going to apply the exterior angle property. I'm going to apply exterior angle property. I hope everyone knows what exterior angle property is. For a triangle.
Sum of two opposite interior angles equal to exterior angle.
Yes, exterior angle of a triangle is equal to sum of opposite interior angles or interior opposite angles. So exterior angle here is angle PAC. The name is given, and the interior opposite angles are 3 and 4. Just use their values now. Angle PAC is पूरे angle का, बाहर वाले angle का. What's the measure?
1 plus 2.
That is x plus x.
2x.
And what about the right hand side?
2y. 2y.
2y. So what do you conclude from here?
X equals to y. X equal to y.
They are equal.
X equals to y, and isn't x representing angle 2? Y is representing angle 3.
2 angle 3 and 2 angle 2.
Yes. So angle 1, which is equal to angle 2, both are represented by x, and y's are being represented by 3 and 4. They are all equal to each other. And हमें सिर्फ इतना portion prove करना था, 2 और 3. So हमने वही properties use किए हैं. ये question बिना congruence के हुआ है. Isosceles triangle दिया था, उससे हम angles के बारे में क्या बोल सकते हैं? Exterior angle की bisection थी, उससे क्या conclude करेंगे? और फिर exterior angle को interior angles के साथ relate किया है. That gives you the proof for the first part. I hope it's clear. Anyone with questions here? All right. Then further you need to prove that ABCD is a parallelogram. So ABCD here is a parallelogram. There is one pair of opposite sides which is already parallel. If we could prove that the other pair is also parallel, जो टॉप पे और बॉटम पे साइड्स बन रही हैं AD और BC, अगर हम वो पैरेलल प्रूव कर दे तो ये क्वाड्रिलेटरल बाय डेफिनेशन will become a parallelogram. Now Daksh, I would like you to think what can we do here.
We can say that alternate interior angles are equal and they will be equal only if the lines are parallel.
That's correct. This is what Daksh used earlier, but we are doing the converse. We had proved angle 2 equals to angle 3. हमने अभी प्रूव किया है कि angle 2 और angle 3 equal हैं, और अगर angle 2 और 3 equal हैं, these are forming a pair of alternate interior angles. So once alternate interior angles are equal, the sides which contain them, they will be parallel. That will make AD parallel to BC because alternate interior angles are equal. You can see these two sides, the transversal is this one. So 2 and 3 are equal, your alternate interior angles are equal. That would make AD parallel to BC. And now going back to the quadrilateral ABCD, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. एक pair given था, एक pair मैंने prove कर दिया, and hence this quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Anyone with questions here? If you want a minute or two to go over the answer, you can just go over and let me know if there is any question here. And do let me know if it's done, then we can take up the next example.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
मैम आपको पता कैसे लगा कि कौन सी साइड एक्सटेंड होगी जहाँ पे P आएगा?
If you look at the name of the name of the exterior angle, PAC बोल रहे हैं ना, so उसमें ये आ रही है side AC. AC will be the adjacent side. इसके साथ वाली साइड को एक्सटेंड करना है at A. A is your vertex. Vertex A से दो साइड्स बनती हैं, AB और AC. You want AC to be one of the arms. तो AC को एक्सटेंड नहीं करेंगे, ये आर्म नहीं बनेगी, फिर उसके साथ वाली साइड को एक्सटेंड करेंगे. आप ट्राई कर सकते हो, अगर आप AC को एक्सटेंड कर देते तो AC आर्म नहीं बनती, उसका एक्सटेंडेड पार्ट आर्म बनता है. So from the name of the exterior angle you can see कि कौन से vertex पे एक्सटेंड करनी है साइड और कौन सी करनी है. The one which is the arm, वो नाम नजर आ जाएगा आपको. अगर ट्राइंगल की किसी साइड का नाम आ रहा है एक्सटीरियर एंगल के नेम में, तो वो बनती है आर्म ऑफ द एंगल. उसको एक्सटेंड नहीं करना, उसके साथ जो दूसरी साइड होगी एट दैट वर्टेक्स, उसको एक्सटेंड करना है आपको. This also comes with practice. Once you try to draw the figure just by looking at the statement, आप बनाने की कोशिश करोगे अगर figure, तो आपको clear हो जाएगा that you're doing something wrong. You're not getting exactly what's written in the question. This example is also important from examination point of view. I hope it's clear. Shall we take up the next example?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Example number 4, again an important question. Two parallel lines L and M are intersected by a transversal P. Again, ये question भी ऐसे ही आ जाता है बिना figure के. So you have to draw two lines L and M parallel to each other. There is a transversal P. Now the lines are intersected at two distinct points. You would like to name these points. I'm just going to use the same points as here in this figure. So I think this one is given as C. You could change and write down the proof accordingly. आप जो figure draw कर रहे हो, आप उसके according लिख सकते हो. मैं अभी यहीं से copy कर रही हूँ. तो हमने दो lines draw की जो आपस में parallel हैं, उनके लिए transversal P draw की. ट्रांसवर्सल ने L और M को इंटरसेक्ट किया, आपको उन पॉइंट्स का नाम रखना है. उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा है द क्वाड्रिलेटरल व्हिच इज फॉर्म्ड बाय द बाइसेक्टर्स ऑफ द इंटीरियर एंगल्स. यहाँ पे जितने इंटीरियर एंगल्स बन रहे हैं, whenever two lines are intersected by a transversal, there are 8 distinct angles formed, and out of those 8 distinct angles, there are 4 interior angles. I'm going to just mark the interior angles. These are the interior angles. इन चारों के बाइसेक्टर्स ड्रॉ करने हैं आपको, और इन चारों के बाइसेक्टर्स जब हम ड्रॉ करेंगे, यू आर गोइंग टू ऑब्टेन अ क्वाड्रिलेटरल एंड यू वुड लाइक टू प्रूव कि वो जो क्वाड्रिलेटरल बना वो रेक्टेंगल बनता है. So I'm simply going to now draw the bisectors here. It will be easier if I just name these the way they have done. PQRS. सो यहाँ पे एक एंगल बन रहा है SAC, आपको इसका बाइसेक्टर ड्रॉ करना है. दैट मीन्स दीज टू पार्ट्स आर इक्वल. ये दो एंगल्स बन गए, ये दोनों इक्वल हैं. सी पे एंगल बन रहा है, उसके भी आपको दो पार्ट्स करने हैं. जस्ट एक्सटेंड इट अ लिटिल. Same thing is to be done on the other side. Angle PAC and angle ACQ. Now you can see the four bisectors, they are intersecting each other. The points of intersection have been marked as B and C, so that the quadrilateral is named ABCD. You have to prove
B
that,
and D.
yeah, I marked C, it is B and D. So you have to prove that this quadrilateral ABCD that you can see here, this quadrilateral is a rectangle. आपको इसको rectangle prove करना है. Now, to prove a quadrilateral, a rectangle, there are two ways. First, I think I mentioned this while we were answering the questions in the exercise. I think one of the students asked that, is it necessary to every time prove a quadrilateral, first a parallelogram and then one angle 90 in order to prove कि वो rectangle बन रहा है, or is there any other option? So यहाँ पे हमारे पास दो ways हैं जो हम करके आए हैं एक्सरसाइज में. हमने क्या किया था, पहले प्रूव करेंगे कि ये पैरेललोग्राम बन रहा है, फिर हम प्रूव कर देंगे कि इसका कोई एक एंगल 90 डिग्री बन रहा है. दैट टू प्रॉपर्टीज कंबाइंड टुगेदर मेक योर क्वाड्रिलेटरल रेक्टेंगल. दूसरा ऑप्शन हमारे पास ये है कि हम इस क्वाड्रिलेटरल के चारों एंगल्स को 90 प्रूव कर दें. If we can prove that each of the four angles in this particular quadrilateral is 90 degrees in measure, then we can call it a rectangle. उसमें ये दोनों चीजें कवर हो जाती हैं कि जो हमारा क्वाड्रिलेटरल बन रहा है वो पैरेललोग्राम है. वो इसलिए है क्योंकि both pairs of opposite angles will be equal. They will be 90 degree in measure, तो दोनों pairs जो बनेंगे opposite side angles के वो equal होंगे, जिससे हमारा quadrilateral parallelogram बन जाता है. And then since the measure of the angles is 90 degree, so parallelogram becomes a rectangle. उसमें सब कुछ cover हो जाएगा. Right now, I think they have done the second option. They have proved that each of the angles, let me just see what they have done in the book. Okay, they have done it with the way we just did in the exercise. I'm going to go with the second option. I'm going to prove that each of the four angles formed here is of 90 degree measure. Let me know if this is clear, like angle 1, 2 equal, 3, 4 equal, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all equal separately. For your convenience, if you want, you can name these with variables. So you would have to use 4 different variables. 1 और 2 इक्वल हैं, आप इनको x बोल सकते हो. 3 और 4 इक्वल हैं, आप इनको y बोल सकते हो. 5 और 6 इक्वल हैं, इनको हम z बोल देते हैं. 7 और 8 इक्वल हैं, तो आप इनको w बोल सकते हो. Just 4 different variables. The only thing given to me here is this: parallel lines and the bisection. Bisection से तो मैं यही कर सकती हूँ सिर्फ कि एंगल्स इक्वल हैं तो उनका मेजर सेम होगा. इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं लिखा जा सकता. The other thing that I will depend on is that the two lines L and M are parallel to each other. So उससे हम क्या?
W equal to X, Y equal to Z.
Taranpreet, could you just speak again?
W will equal to X and Y will equal to Z because they are alternate interior angle.
That's correct. That's correct. If I look at the pair of alternate interior angles, I will roughly draw this figure. The angle formed here will be equal to the angle formed here. यहाँ पे जो एंगल बन रहा है वो बन रहा है angle 1 plus angle 2, which is 2x, and over here it's angle 7 plus angle 8, which is 2 times W. Since line L is parallel to line M, 2x will be equal to 2W. This makes x equals to W. Similarly, you can prove that y equals to z. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in order to prove that I have the 4 angles equal to 90 degree, I'm going to use the, okay, this is something which although is not required, but you can